Nelson Peltz is back and the proxy war is back on. The market seems excited to find Iger's enemy now at the gates of the Walt Disney Company, and it may just be the foundational kind of change that Disney needs. But does Peltz have the ammunition he needs to get through the gates of Disney and conquer the House of Mouse? We turn to experts in the domain of economics to find out, will Nelson Peltz win the second Disney war? Hello, ladies and gents. It is a joy to have you here, and we are ready to break down Nelson Peltz, a name that many of you out there had never heard of until he came banging at Mickey's front door. And in the door he wants, through the castle, he would like to run the company, not as the CEO, but as an individual whose group has multiple board seats, him included. And what comes with those board seats? Well, the ability to select the successor to Bob Iger. That's right, Nelson Peltz wants to be in there, choosing the next CEO and fashioning the Walt Disney Company into the ideal that he sees. And what is that ideal that he and apparently the market believe in? Making money once again. How about that for a novel idea? This one's not too dismal. This is the Nelson Peltz ongoings. Of course, this one coming out today at 2:21 p.m. Do you see what Peltz sees? This out of the Motley Fool. And here's what they have to say. Nelson Peltz is at it again. The Trian Fund Management Titan is making a renewed push for board seats at Disney after backing off from demands in February, i.e. Disney gave in on everything except China. Peltz is best known as an activist investor. And Valiant, you're back. Tell everybody out there, what does activist investor really mean?
Yeah, a lot of people seem to get this term confused because you think the word activist and you think in political senses. That's not the case here when you're talking about an investor on Wall Street. What this simply means is instead of you or I owning a parcel or a lot of Disney stock, like 100 shares of Disney stock, and we just own it, and that's it. We just wait for growth or we wait for a dividend to come back if it ever does, and that's the end of it. Nelson Peltz is the kind of guy that with his management group, Trian, which is like a hedge fund or a mutual fund or something like that, he pools resources from investors and then goes in and buys stock. The management company wants to take an active position in the companies that they take significant stakes in so much as they are going to use the enormous voting power that they buy into for a company like Disney to push for managerial shifts, changes. They want to get board members appointed, for example, in this case. Or they want to see a change in the CEO. They want to take an active role in the direction of the company instead of just sitting back and holding the stock with fingers crossed, hoping that existing management gets their stuff together. It's Disney. They probably won't. So that's the big difference. That's why Nelson Peltz wants to come in and use his influence now that he is the fifth or sixth largest institutional shareholder under Trian of Disney to force some kind of change.
There you go. Well, Peltz is he's over Wendy's. He's had some impacts on some major companies that you all can see there in bold. We'll scroll down here and talk about what Peltz wants.
And
he reportedly is planning to request.
Job, by the way.
What's that?
He's done a fantastic job with all of those, by the way.
Oh, yeah, they all have improved. So that's what's so funny about this. The mainstream and the excess, they hate him. They hate him because he wants to change Disney. And how does he want to change Disney? Well, he wants Disney to make money again. Peltz is reportedly planning to request multiple board seats, including one for himself. He had originally criticized Disney for prolific, I think is what they were trying to say there. Prolific. Surely that's what they were trying to say. Spending, including the deal for Fox's.
Profligate.
Is actually what they were trying to say? Okay.
Yeah, that's the word.
I thought they were trying to say prolific. Including the deal for Fox's entertainment assets, called on it to buy the remainder of Hulu from Comcast or dump the entire business, said it should increase capital expenditures at its parks business, which it has since announced plans to do, and attacked it for its failed succession plan after former CEO Bob Chapek was yanked and CEO Bob Iger was brought back in. Now, this article is also interesting because when it talks about increasing capital expenditures at its parks business, that's literally true, but it's incredibly misleading because the parks themselves are not seeing an increase in spending, it doesn't seem, or at least they're not staying up with inflation. And the majority of the money seems to be going towards either international parks or it's going towards cruise lines. And so, this is, but you can see what's happened with the stock. And this little blip at the end here where we lifted up, everybody see at the bottom right here where we got this nice little bump? That came when Nelson Peltz announced that he was ready to go to war again. It seems to me that despite the mainstream and the access media hating his guts, I'm not sure the market dislikes him. And I think it really speaks to the fact that Bob Iger may not be the mouse messiah any longer if the market is reacting positively when his enemy says, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring once more. Panel, let's go to you. Are we looking at an opportunity finally for fundamental change at Disney and have these things that we've been talking about, i.e. the death of Star Wars, the failure of Filoni, the Splash Mountain fiasco, etc.? Are all of these setting the context for a company that's on the ropes and needs fundamental change through someone like Nelson Peltz?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. My concern here is that I'm all for, and I truly believe that Nelson Peltz wants to make Bob Iger's life a living hell, which I'm totally in favor for, because Bob Iger has personally made my life a living hell for the past 20 years. So that's fine. However, it doesn't seem to me that the Peltz has made any indication that he cares about Walt's company. He cares about the condition of Marvel. He felt that he was screwed out of situations for that. And I would love to say that this is another thing with like the Bass brothers in 1984, but it just doesn't seem like that to me at this precise moment, especially when he went through his first proxy fight. And I think that a lot of people were pining for, okay, he's using business terminology, he's using numbers, he's using all of these financial reports as an excuse to take over the company for moralistic or higher principled ideas. And then when Bob Iger called his bluff essentially and said, yes, we're going to give you everything that you wanted, we're not really going to give it to you, but we're going to say it right now that we're going to give it to you, then he immediately backed away. And I'm like, well, no, I mean, you should have pressed harder, or maybe you should have framed the issue in a slightly different way if you were going to try to save this company from its fate right now. So that's really where my concern is with Peltz. I mean, I'd love to see him succeed. I want to see the company continue. Definitely not in the condition that it's in right now. But I'm still really concerned about like what the end goal of this will be for Peltz.
Well said. The thing that I go ahead, Tom.
Well, I just want to say I think that some of the changes we've already seen in the last week or so might have to do with that. I'm not saying that they are connected, but there may even be a connection to things like we may even talk about this yet in the show, so I don't want to bury it too much. But like the whole Daredevil Reborn being scrapped and started from scratch. I wonder if that has something to do with some pressure from this whole thing, because I think it's going to get fun in the next few weeks to months here, considering the moves that are being made. And we're hearing rumors that Bob is just kind of he's had enough.
He's exhausted, Tom. He's worn
He's
out.
Exhausted. So yeah, I mean, you guys were reporting on that yourselves. So.
Yeah, and he supposedly had a major surgery this summer and took a month on his yacht in the middle of this company being an incredible crisis.
Shut up, Jonas. He's the only man who can do the job. What are you talking about?
He keeps it up. He'll be taking a Disney cruise.
That's why he bought the Wish.
Valiant? Culture? Guys, what do you think about Nelson Peltz? And do you think that this one, you think it has teeth to it, or do you think that Disney might give him everything he wants minus the board seats and try to get him to be silent?
Disney's not going to have much of a choice this time. I mean, it's. I mean, look at again. I'll remind folks, like I said before, look at the noise that Nelson Peltz made a year ago with a third of the position that he has now. What do you think he's going to do now? It's like, okay, you sold me a bill of goods earlier this year, Bob Iger. You gave me a nice song and dance, dog and pony show. It was all for naught. Yeah, you made some cost cuts, but you haven't made any material changes. And the thing that I think really pissed off Peltz more than anything was that they renewed Bob Iger for 2 years additionally. That was one of his top agenda items in the Restore the Magic profile. He wanted a succession plan for Iger put in. He was expecting Iger to be gone by 2024. One of his top line items were, we are not advocating for the firing of Bob Iger. This was, early this year.
Well, not then.
During the proxy fight. He said, we are for the succession planning to have a smooth transition by January of 2025 for a new CEO. That just got kicked to 2027 after they convinced Peltz to walk away and let them handle it. That made Peltz mad.
I'll point out the last time that he staved off Peltz, November 20th. We're coming up on, 38 days. In 38 days, it'll be 1 year since Iger came back. And then less than 2 months after that, the Restoring the Magic proposal came out. So yes, Bob Iger was fresh back at the company at that point. So he had this excuse of saying, I just got here, guys. Let me get an idea of what's going on in this company. He was very familiar with what was going on in the company at that point. So that is a load of bologna sausage. He
never left the company and he never stopped getting the reports. It doesn't seem like. It seems like he was right there over Chapek's shoulder the entire time.
Right. And now we've seen the results of what Bob Iger can do, and it's only losing value. It's only selling things off. And I still don't know how well the sale of ABC has actually rung out to the trades. I don't think that's actually a very popular move with the Hollywood press. Now it's a smart move in some way, because he gets to hear all of these opinions and he gets to get rid of this thing that is going to be dead weight. He is right. It is going to be dead weight, but he's not getting that glowing reception that he used to get. He screwed things up with the WGA strike. And now Bob Iger has lost everyone that was in his corner. Mm-hmm. And Nelson Peltz is now back. Instead of a billion shares, he has 2.5 billion shares. And there's no ignoring him at this point because the press is not going to be carrying his water for him.
$2.5 billion worth of shares. Yeah.
33 million shares or whatever he's got now.
I'm sorry to monopolize the panel, but if I could just ask, and first of all, pleasure to finally meet you, VR. Okay, so he's upset that there isn't a succession plan. But my question is, what makes anyone have any confidence whatsoever about a succession plan that its chief architect is Bob Iger?
Right.
I mean, he has done everything that's completely wrong with this company. I've said for the past 2 or 3 years now that the only way to solve Disney's problems is to put someone in the CEO position that Bob Iger personally hates.
Well, Josh, that's why Peltz wants those board seats.
That's it.
He wants in on the process.
As opposed to just handing it to Mark Parker in a few years. And then you've got his friend that is also friends with the Chinese Communist Party. I'm not making a political
Yes,
statement.
we would very much like to run Disney.
And that's not conspiracy theory. He works for Nike. He is the CEO of Nike.
That's why they brought him in. Why do you think as soon as Mark Parker got named as chairman late last year, all of a sudden they were able to get all the Marvel movies after that into China again?
Well,
wow.
And they were able to keep the parks open despite the, other stuff. I mean, look, this guy's a huge fan of forced labor, so let's make him chairman of Disney. Okay.
All right, and that is a wrap for today. My gosh, though, what a joy it is that you select to join us, to share your time with us, to put us on your devices, your screens, your audio. We truly do appreciate it. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below, lest this just be talking heads on a screen. No, join us and turn this into a dialogue with an entire community of which you are definitely a part of it. All right, folks, that is it for today. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.